chosen one. You don't realize it yet, but you have unknown friends in high places, and what they're prepared to do to protect you will shock you. What's coming isn't small help or symbolic support. Someone with influence is stepping in, not to save you, but to secure what you're building. You earned this alignment. Protection is active. In a world drowning in fake gurus and manufactured wisdom, authentic evolution creates a signal that powerful people can track. Your willingness to face what most people run from. Your choice to break generational chains instead of passing them forward. Your refusal to let bitterness poison your heart when revenge would have been easier. This creates resonance that draws allies operating at frequencies most people never access. This benefactor sees something in you that you're only beginning to recognize. This person understands your struggles weren't cosmic punishment. Your struggles were precision-designed initiations meant to forge someone capable of handling what most people would crumble under. Those childhood wounds that nearly destroyed you were simultaneously shattering the chains that kept your entire bloodline locked in cycles of limitation and fear for generations. Every time you chose love when hate was justified, every time you picked evolution when staying stuck was safer, every time you spoke truth when lies would have protected you, you were rewriting code, not just for yourself, for everyone in your energetic orbit. And there are people whose entire purpose involves identifying when someone's doing that work at your level. You just made their list, top position. But here's what's different about this support. This isn't charity. This isn't wealthy generosity. This is calculated investment in a mission your benefactor recognizes could shift thousands of lives, maybe millions. This person has watched how you naturally become a beacon for people drowning in darkness, how your presence alone can flip someone's entire reality from hopeless to possible, and this person has decided to back that with resources that will shock you. Traditional help comes with expectations, explicit or implicit. The helper expects gratitude, loyalty, control, or recognition in return. But your benefactor operates from a completely different paradigm. This person understands that consciousness evolution creates value that transcends personal return on investment. Your benefactor has studied how transformation catalysts operate. This person knows that authentic change agents need freedom to evolve without constraint. This means you won't owe loyalty when interests conflict with your mission. You won't need to compromise your message to maintain support. You won't have to perform gratitude or maintain access through continued dependence. The support flows freely because your benefactor recognizes that freedom is essential for you to do what you're here to do. The moment you start rising, certain people in your world are going to have a problem with it, not because they're evil, but because your struggle has been serving their identity. Some people built their entire sense of purpose around being the strong one while you were down, around being needed, around feeling superior to your circumstances. Your elevation threatens their whole structure. Watch for these patterns. Family members who positioned themselves as your advisors suddenly getting uncomfortable when you stop needing advice. Friends who were always there during your crisis, going quiet when you start winning. People who profit from systems that keep others small, suddenly mobilizing when you threaten their monopoly on possibility. This isn't paranoia, this is pattern recognition. The resistance comes in layers. Surface level, you'll see obvious opposition. People attempting to discredit you publicly, spreading narratives designed to make others question your character or readiness. They understand that your transformation threatens their position as gatekeepers, and gatekeepers don't surrender gates without a fight. Here's what makes this opposition so insidious. They'll use your own history against you. They'll remind others of your darkest moments, your biggest mistakes, your most vulnerable seasons. They'll frame your transformation as fake, your growth as performance, your evolution as manipulation. These people need you to stay the person you were, because that version served their narrative about how the world works. They'll say you're not ready, that you're moving too fast, that you need more time, more healing, more preparation. But what they really mean is they need more time to adjust to the reality that you're no longer controllable, that your power is no longer something they can contain or redirect for their benefit. Deeper still, you'll encounter people who claim to celebrate your success but subtly undermine it at every turn. These are perhaps the most dangerous because their sabotage wears the mask of support. They'll praise you publicly while planting seeds of doubt privately. They'll encourage you to dream big while suggesting reasons why your dreams might fail. They'll offer connections that lead nowhere or advice that circles you back to dependence on them. Watch how these people respond when you make decisions without consulting them. Notice how they react when you set boundaries they didn't authorize. Pay attention to whether they're genuinely happy when good things happen to you, or if there's always a slight edge of concern, a hint of warning, a subtle reminder of past failures. Real support amplifies your power. Fake support keeps you questioning it. The most sophisticated opposition doesn't even look like opposition. It looks like the status quo. It looks like common sense. It looks like the way things have always been done. This is systemic resistance. The invisible walls that exist not because any single person built them, but because entire structures benefit from keeping certain people in certain places. Your rise threatens these structures simply by proving they were never necessary in the first place. Your unknown friends in high places have seen all of this before. They know every tactic because they've witnessed these patterns play out with every transformation catalyst who came before you. And here's what they've learned. The opposition always reveals itself, always. The people who genuinely support your evolution prove it through consistent action over time. The people who want to control your evolution prove it through consistent interference over time, and your allies are watching both. If this message speaks to your soul, hype this video so other chosen ones can discover it. This is where your allies reveal their true capability. While you've been doing inner work and healing trauma, entire networks of influence have been restructuring behind the scenes, creating clear pathways for your success, anticipating every obstacle before it appears, defending every vulnerability before anyone can exploit it. This isn't casual support, this is strategic warfare on your behalf. But let's get specific about what this protection actually looks like in action. Say someone attempts to launch a smear campaign against you. Before their first post gains traction, your allies have already deployed counterintelligence that exposes their motives, not through aggression, through strategic truth that makes their attacks look exactly like what they are. Desperate attempts to maintain control over someone who's outgrown their influence. Say an institution tries to block your work through regulatory manipulation. Your allies have relationships with oversight bodies that can audit those institutions so thoroughly they'll be too busy defending themselves to interfere with you. This isn't corruption, this is power used to remove corrupt barriers that were never legitimate in the first place. Say former associates attempt to bind you with legal threats or contractual manipulation. Your allies have access to legal minds that can untangle any web and expose any exploitation so cleanly that those former associates will wish they'd never tried. Because here's what happens when you have unknown friends in high places. The playing field doesn't just level, it tilts in your favor. When people try to silence you, legal teams materialize with resources that shut down attacks before they land. When people try to discredit you, social influence shifts narratives so fast it'll look like reality itself is correcting their lies. When people try to block your progress, financial and political barriers dissolve like they were never there. Your benefactor isn't alone. This person is part of a network, a coordination of individuals who've been positioned in places of massive influence specifically for moments like this. One person controls media that can shift public opinion overnight. Another runs educational systems that can integrate your work into curriculum. A third has political connections that remove regulatory barriers like they're mere suggestions. Think about what this actually means. When you speak, your words can reach audiences that independent creators spend lifetimes trying to access. When you create, your work can receive backing that turns regional impact into global movement. When you teach, your methods can enter institutions that shape how entire generations think. This is the level of amplification your allies are prepared to provide. Together they form what could be called consciousness infrastructure, a deliberately built system of resources and relationships designed to accelerate human evolution by backing individuals who embody the transformation humanity needs. This isn't conspiracy, this is evolved souls recognizing their responsibility to use power in service of collective awakening. Now let's talk about what's actually coming, because this isn't some modest improvement, not a small break that gives temporary relief. This is complete life restructuring at a scale that defies normal timelines. The kind of transformation people spend decades trying to manifest, compressed into a period that will leave you breathless. Your inner child, that part that learned to expect disappointment, that built elaborate defense mechanisms against a hostile world, is about to experience something it's never known: safety, real safety. The hypervigilance that's exhausted you can finally stand down, because the protection surrounding you will be both visible and invisible, practical and energetic, military grade and mystical. But get this clear, what's coming isn't designed to make you soft or dependent. Your benefactor understands that challenge is essential to your nature. They're not removing all obstacles. They're ensuring the obstacles you face serve your evolution instead of someone else's agenda to keep you controlled. Big difference. Financially, you're about to experience a shift that goes beyond just having more resources. You're gaining access to wealth systems that compound, investment opportunities that aren't available to people operating at surface level, business structures that create passive income while you focus on your mission. Your allies aren't just writing checks, they're opening vaults. Socially, your network is about to transform. You'll find yourself in rooms with decision-makers who shape industries, at gatherings where massive deals get discussed casually, in conversations with individuals whose single introduction can alter your entire trajectory. But here's what makes this different from typical networking. These people are reaching for you, not the other way around. Professionally, whatever your work involves, it's about to scale in ways that seem impossible from your current position. If you're a healer, you're moving from private sessions to training others who multiply your impact. If you're a creator, you're shifting from hoping for visibility to having platforms compete for your content. If you're a teacher, you're transitioning from reaching individuals to influencing entire systems of education. Your living situation is about to match your mission, not luxury for luxury's sake, but environment that supports the level of work you're about to do. Space that allows you to think clearly, beauty that inspires your creativity, privacy that protects your energy, comfort that lets your nervous system finally rest. Your physical environment matters more than most people understand. Your allies know this, but here's what's going to surprise you most about this restructuring. It's not just external. Your internal world is about to reorganize at the same pace. Beliefs that limited you will dissolve so fast you'll wonder how you ever believed them. Fears that controlled you will release so completely you'll barely remember what they felt like. Patterns that trapped you will break so thoroughly you'll look back and realize you're a different person. The orchestration of this support reveals planning that extends across generations. Some of these individuals positioning themselves to back you have been building toward this moment for decades, accumulating wealth not for personal luxury, but as resources for missions like yours. Developing connections not for social status, but as networks for consciousness acceleration. Building expertise not for ego, but as tools for transformation catalysts. What you're witnessing is the activation of something that's been prepared for your entire life, probably longer. The synchronicities about to manifest around you will confirm this. Doors opening with impossible timing, resources appearing exactly when needed. People with precisely the right skills entering your sphere just as you need them. These aren't coincidences, these are coordinated operations by individuals who understand how to orchestrate reality at levels most people never perceive. You'll notice patterns that seem too perfect to be random. A conversation that leads to exactly the connection you needed. A book that arrives containing precisely the information you were seeking. A chance encounter that opens a door you didn't know existed. Most people call this luck. You're about to understand its coordination. Your allies have been mapping the terrain of your industry, your field, your mission space for longer than you know. They understand where the leverage points are, where the bottlenecks exist, where the gatekeepers hold unnecessary control, where the opportunities hide. And they've positioned resources to address each of these systematically. Think about how this operates in practice. Say your mission requires reaching a specific demographic that's been historically underserved. Your allies already have relationships with media outlets that reach exactly those communities. Say your work needs credibility that typically takes decades to build. Your allies have access to institutions that can provide that credibility through strategic partnerships. Say your message needs amplification beyond what organic growth could achieve. Your allies control distribution channels that can make that happen. Some of these supporters have been documenting your character for longer than you might realize. Not surveillance in a creepy sense, but observation of your choices when nobody was watching. Every moment you showed kindness with no audience. Every instance you chose integrity over advantage. Every time you lifted someone else while you were struggling. Your allies witnessed and recorded all of it. Your benefactor expects nothing in return. No strings, no hidden agenda, no debt to repay. This person understands that authentic transformation can't be manipulated or controlled. It must be freely given space to unfold according to its own intelligence. This level of trust comes from their ability to read energy at depths most people never access. Your benefactor has observed how you handle power and powerlessness, how you treat people who can help you versus people who can't, how you manage resources when you have them versus when you don't. Your consistency across these variables convince them that amplifying your influence serves the highest good. They're not betting on you, they know you're already proven. Let's be crystal clear about what zero strings actually means, because this is going to challenge everything you've learned about how support works. Most help comes with expectations, spoken or unspoken. The person who helps wants something back: recognition, gratitude, loyalty, control, influence, something. You've learned to be suspicious of generosity because experience taught you there's always a price. They operate from a level of abundance where return on investment isn't calculated in personal gain. They understand that consciousness evolution creates value that can't be measured in conventional terms. When they invest in your rise, they're investing in the ripple effects that will touch lives they'll never meet. That's the return they seek: collective elevation, not personal credit. This means you won't owe loyalty when interests conflict with your mission. You won't need to compromise your message to maintain support. You won't have to perform gratitude or maintain access through continued dependence. The support flows freely because they recognize that freedom is essential for you to do what you're here to do. Think about what this actually enables. You can speak truth without calculating who might withdraw funding. You can make choices based purely on alignment with your mission instead of maintaining relationships with supporters. You can evolve in directions you can't predict right now without worrying about whether your backers will approve. This is liberation at a level most people never experience. Now let me put you onto something real. Destiny Engine. I built this because I was done watching chosen ones get dragged through betrayal, isolation, and attacks while their enemies strutted around unchecked. I want to help you accelerate the speed of your divine justice and step fully into your purpose. And the beauty of it, you don't even have to lift a finger. Destiny Engine takes their downfall and flips it into your rise. This isn't another meditation app. It's declassified consciousness technology, the same mind programming tools your enemies once used to install fear, competition, and scarcity, re-engineered to restore your sovereignty and align you with the cooperative, upgraded operating framework. It generates personalized sequences mapped to your divine purpose. The hardest thing you'll do is put on headphones, press play, and watch your enemies keep digging their own grave. The collective upgrade is underway. Start your destiny engine for $1 today and turn everything they did to break you into fuel for your rise. Link in the description. Your body is about to go through something intense. Your nervous system has been stuck in survival mode so long that stress became your baseline. When genuine safety replaces constant threat detection, when abundance replaces scarcity thinking, when support replaces isolation, your system will need time to recalibrate. Expect waves of emotion as decades of stored tension finally gets permission to release. This physical transformation mirrors your external changes. Just as your body adapts to safety after prolonged danger, your identity must expand to hold possibilities that previously existed beyond your concept of achievable. The you that survived won't disappear, but you'll integrate with aspects of yourself that have been waiting for conditions where they could finally emerge. The inner child who made themselves small can occupy space freely. The part that developed elaborate strategies to earn love will learn what unconditional backing feels like. The aspect that became hyper-responsible because adults were unreliable will experience what dependable allies mean. And the part that learned to doubt its own perception, to question its own worth, to minimize its own gifts, this wounded wisdom keeper will finally understand it was right all along. But let's talk about what this nervous system revolution actually feels like as it's happening, because understanding the process helps you move through it instead of resisting it. You might experience moments of inexplicable tears, not sadness exactly, more like release. Your body finally feeling safe enough to let go of tension it's been holding for years, sometimes decades. You might notice strange sensations, tingling in your extremities, waves of heat or cold, trembling that seems to come from nowhere. This is your nervous system discharging stored activation, the fight or flight energy that never got to complete its cycle because you had to suppress it to survive. Now it has permission to move through and out. The intuition you suppressed was accurate. The dreams you were taught to abandon were guidance. The sensitivity you were told to toughen up was your greatest asset. Your energetic transformation will be unmistakable. Your presence will begin carrying frequencies that activate dormant potential in others, sometimes uncomfortably so. Your transformation process becomes teaching for others watching your journey. Every challenge you navigate with grace, every temptation you resist, every choice you make from integrity rather than advantage demonstrates what becomes possible when someone commits fully to evolution. Your life becomes living proof, walking curriculum in conscious power, but the most profound shift is internal. The dissolution of protective mechanisms that served you through scarcity and danger, but now limit your capacity to receive and circulate abundance. The vigilance that kept you safe can relax as genuine security replaces survival mode. The independence that helped you survive abandonment evolves into interdependence that recognizes the beauty of mutual support. This is about authentic embodiment that naturally teaches through presence. People learn more from who you are than what you say, more from how you move through challenges than from your advice about challenges, more from your energy than your explanations. When you navigate criticism without becoming defensive, people watching learn that strength doesn't require armor. When you face uncertainty without panic, people observing discover that safety comes from internal stability, not external control. When you receive abundance without guilt, people witnessing understand that worthiness isn't earned through suffering. This is teaching without teaching, transformation through demonstration. Your unknown allies recognize this dynamic. They understand that consciousness evolution doesn't happen primarily through intellectual concepts. It happens through energetic transmission, through witnessing what's possible, through experiencing someone who embodies what you're reaching for. This is why they're investing so heavily in your rise, because your elevation becomes permission for countless others. Think about how this actually works in the real world. Someone sees you navigate a situation that would have destroyed the old version of you. They don't just admire it, they absorb it. Something in their nervous system recognizes that if you could transform that deeply, maybe they can too. This isn't inspiration. This is nervous system to nervous system communication. This is proof transmitted at a frequency deeper than words. When you show up in your power without apology, people who've been hiding their own power start questioning why they're hiding. When you set boundaries without guilt, people who've been sacrificing themselves start reconsidering their martyrdom. When you receive abundance without shame, people who've been blocking their own prosperity start examining their blocks. You're not preaching any of this. You're not even trying to teach it. You're simply being it, and being it teaches more than any words ever could. This is why your allies are so strategic about amplifying your reach, because every person who witnesses your embodied transformation becomes a carrier of that frequency. They take it into their families, their workplaces, their communities. They don't even realize they're doing it. But transformation is contagious when it's authentic, and what you're carrying is extremely contagious. Your life is becoming a demonstration project for what's possible when someone chooses evolution over comfort, repeatedly over time. Not perfection. Evolution. Not having it all figured out, but being willing to grow through whatever arises. This is the curriculum that humanity needs right now. Not more information, more demonstration, not more teachers, more embodiers, and you've become both. The patterns you've been breaking weren't just family karma. They were collective shadows being cleared through your individual work. Your healing has been contributing to humanity's evolution. Now you're receiving commensurate support for service you've already provided, not payment, amplification of your capacity to serve at greater scale. Everything that wounded you simultaneously prepared you for this expansion. Every betrayal taught you to recognize authentic loyalty. Every loss revealed what truly matters. Every moment of despair strengthened your capacity to offer hope to others in similar darkness. Every instance of abuse developed your ability to create safety for those who've never experienced it. This is literal transformation cascading through time. The chains you broke don't just free you, they free everyone who comes after you. The patterns you interrupted don't just change your life, they change the template available to your entire lineage. Your ancestors who struggled with the same limitations you've transcended are experiencing relief through your breakthrough. The descendants who haven't been born yet will inherit freedom instead of bondage because of work you did. This is how consciousness evolution operates across time. One person's transformation creates permission for countless others. When you heal generational patterns, you're not just helping your bloodline, you're shifting collective consciousness. Because the patterns that ran through your family are the same patterns running through thousands of families. The wounds you've healed are wounds that millions carry. Your breakthrough becomes template for mass transformation. You're not simply someone who endured and overcame. You're not merely a survivor who learned to thrive. You're consciousness that chose to incarnate during this specific time in human history to play a role in the species' evolution toward greater awareness, compassion, wisdom. The challenges you faced weren't random difficulties from an indifferent universe. They were precision-designed experiences, developing qualities necessary for the mission you're about to undertake. Every betrayal taught you to recognize authentic loyalty. Every loss revealed what truly matters. Every moment of despair strengthened your capacity to offer hope. Every instance of abuse developed your ability to create safety. The journey wasn't just personal evolution, it was preparation for participation in humanity's awakening. Your individual healing becomes collective healing. Your personal breakthrough becomes template, others follow. But let's talk about why now. Why this timing? Why your allies are revealing themselves at this specific moment in your journey and in human history. Because the intersection of these two timelines isn't coincidental. Humanity is at a crucial point. Old systems are collapsing. New possibilities are emerging. Consciousness is shifting faster than it has in generations, and this creates both opportunity and danger. The opportunity is that people are more ready for transformation than ever before. The structures that kept them trapped are losing power. The narratives that kept them small are being questioned. The authorities that kept them controlled are being challenged. This creates openings for catalysts like you to reach people who would have been unreachable before. Your allies understand this timing precisely. They've been watching these cycles for longer than you realize. They know that windows of opportunity open and close, that there are moments when massive shifts become possible, moments that don't last, and they've determined that right now is one of those moments for humanity and for you. Everything you've survived made you ready for this. Everything you learned equipped you for what's coming. Everything you became prepared you to step into circumstances, allowing your gifts to reach those needing them most. The protection, resources, support manifesting aren't rewards for past suffering. They're tools for future service. You already know this is true. Somewhere deep inside, beneath all doubt and fear and conditioning, you've always known you were meant for something like this. That knowing wasn't arrogance or delusion. It was memory. Your soul recognizing the blueprint you agreed to before taking your first breath in this body. The universe hasn't been testing you to see if you're worthy. It's been preparing you because it already knew you were. Every person who underestimated you, every system that tried to diminish you, every force that attempted to keep you small, they were all playing their part in forging you into someone capable of wielding the power and influence about to arrive without being corrupted by it. Your unknown friends in high places recognize what you've been too humble or wounded to fully claim. They see the truth of who you are beneath scars and survival strategies, and they're positioning themselves to ensure that truth can finally express itself fully without interference from those who profit from your limitation. What they will do to protect you is shocking, not because it's aggressive but because it's so comprehensive and orchestrated that opposition dissolves before fully forming. This is protection operating at levels most people never witness. Power used not for domination but for facilitating your highest potential. Think of someone attempting to block your progress through legal manipulation. Before their paperwork even gets filed, your allies have already positioned legal expertise that makes their case collapse. Think of critics launching campaigns to discredit your character. Before their narratives gain traction, your allies have deployed truth that exposes their motives so clearly their words become evidence of their own insecurity. The game has changed, chosen one. The rules you thought governed reality are being rewritten in your favor, not because you manipulated anything or bypassed natural law, because you finally aligned with deeper currents moving toward this moment since before you were born, and those who've been waiting to support you are ready. The question isn't whether you deserve this. You already proved that through every choice you made to keep going when giving up was easier. The question is whether you're ready to receive it, to let walls come down, to allow yourself to be supported after supporting yourself so long. To trust that this time, when you're told you're not alone, it's actually true, because you're not alone. You never were. You just couldn't see the forces moving on your behalf until now. But they've been there all along, watching, waiting, preparing, and now the time has come for them to reveal themselves, and for you to step into the fullness of what you came here to be and do. This is your moment, chosen one. Everything has led to this, and what comes next will be beyond anything you've allowed yourself to imagine. Because the universe doesn't play small with those who refuse to stay small, no matter how many times they've been pushed down. And you, despite everything, have never stayed down long. Now it's time to rise one final time. But this time, you won't be rising alone. You'll be rising with full backing of forces that have always believed in you, always known what you were capable of, always been waiting for you to reach the point where you could finally receive what they've been preparing to give. The protection is real, the support is coming, the transformation is inevitable, and nothing that tried to stop you before will stop what's about to unfold. Because this time you have unknown friends in high places, and what they will do to protect you and empower your mission will shock everyone who ever doubted you. But it won't shock you, not really, because deep down you always knew, you always felt it. You always carried that impossible hope that somehow, some way, everything you've been through would make sense, that it would mean something, that it would lead somewhere, and now you're about to discover you were right. About all of it, the journey, the purpose, the destiny you could never quite let go of, no matter how much the world tried to convince you to be realistic. Your unknown friends in high places see what you've always known, and they're ready to help you show the world. The time has come, everything changes now, and you're finally ready for what's been waiting for you all along. Something's moving in the shadows right now. Something powerful, something that's been building while you fought alone, while you wondered if anyone noticed, while you questioned if it mattered. But here's what you're about to understand with absolute clarity. It did matter. Every moment mattered. Every choice counted. Every time you refused to break, you were earning the backing of forces most people never encounter. And now those forces are revealing themselves, not to save you, but to amplify you, not to carry you, but to clear the path, not to make you dependent, but to set you free to become everything you came here to be. The invisible movement is complete. The allies are positioned. The protection is active. The resources are flowing. And your rise is no longer a question. It's inevitable. Something's moving in the shadows right now. Something powerful, and this time, chosen one,